So with that, I'd like to invite Reza up to the stage to give the keynote today. Thank you.
So we're going to talk about what is Kwaai. It's a funny name, isn't it? And how will AI transform your career, and what can you do about it? So before I start that conversation, we're gonna hear from Ray Gill.
Okay, hello. My name is Ray Gill. I built my career here in California working in the Latino and tech community. So I'm going to start off by reading something that's very important, representing the indigenous people that were here before all of us. So the College of the Canyons and Native American Indigenous Alliance recognizes and acknowledges that the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory of Chagwayanga and Mapipinga that are now occupied by our college campuses, we honor their elders past and present and the descendants who are citizens of the Fernandeño Tatavian Band of Mission Indians. And those people are still here. Some of them have been blended into the population, but they're all here. Some of them have reservations here as well. We recognize that the tribe is still here, and we are committed to lifting up their stories, culture, and community. And that's actually one of the things that we're doing here in this organization. We want to include the tribal organizations and bring them into the digital tech economy, which is very important. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Ray. So what is Kwaai, and how will it transform your career? And what can you do about it? Next slide, please. Thanks. So we all agree. AI's, especially generative AI, is a fantastic leap forward. It, especially the large language models, allow us to benefit from all of the wisdom of previous generations. In fact, it has accelerated the way in which wisdom is transferred from one generation to another. Maybe it's as important of a leap forward as when writing was invented. Prior to that, wisdom was transferred by oral tradition. And then writing allowed those living ancestors to have their wisdom in books available for perpetuity. Large language models suck up all of that writing. Well, that's not all of it. Maybe all of the digital writing. Maybe all of the digital writing that is online, largely in English, and maybe freely accessible. That's what the current state of the art is. Large language models have accelerated the way in which wisdom is passed down. And the optimists in us, the optimists, maybe the macroeconomists will say, hey, don't worry, it's going to raise all boats. The pie will get larger. But as the next slide cautions, we should look before we leap. Here's what's going on. AI is currently controlled by a very small group of corporations. And we know that that sort of monopolization leads to fragility in economies. We've just been upstairs having the Kwaai board meeting and pondering on that very issue. Are we railing against the monopolization? We all know that competition breeds a healthy economy and healthy industries. And it's difficult to compete. It's difficult to compete if you're not an extremely deep-pocketed corporation. So the angst that I felt at the beginning of the year about this problem led me to the conclusion that we needed to have an altruistic intervention, a non-profit organization, volunteer-based, that provided a counterweight to the monopolization and the oligopoly that's forming. So if there is no such intervention, AI in its current path is going along a dangerous route, and that is the motivation behind Kwaai. We've evolved that motivation as we've met, and we've now had 12 public meetings. This is the first summit we're having, and we'll tell you more about how that thinking has evolved and what's come out of it. But this broad angst that we feel that potentially AI in its current form could be a threat to employment. The very nature of the relationship between employer and employee could be disrupted. And in fact, it's currently playing out in Hollywood. We know that there's a partial settlement there, but it reflected itself in the relationship between employer and employee in Hollywood, in actors and writers. But that sort of threat comes to all sorts of jobs. Jobs maybe even in this establishment. So we'll talk more about that later on. But look, it's a threat to business when competition is stifled. And what if we make some small contribution to adding more competition in the industry, that's going to be good for us. And it's not the only threat. AI in its current incarnation is a threat to the climate. It has an awful carbon footprint. And we know we can do better. We can do better. We must do better. Okay. So, look, the headlines are filled with clickbaity AI doomer stories. Will AI take over the world? The answer is yes, it will. Probably, eventually. Much like the same way, but you know what? It's the question about will AI take over the world, the question about its misalignment with human values. Well, corporations are super intelligences. Are they aligned with our human values? No, we've learned to live symbiotically with corporations. Corporations have taken over the world. Corporations are now in US law considered to be citizens. Well, I'll believe that when Texas executes one, but that's my personal belief. You know, I'd also challenge you to consider wheat. Is wheat a super intelligence? No, a stalk of wheat's pretty dumb. But wheat, you know, if an alien species were to look at the planet Earth, they'd say, okay, well, wheat's taken over the Earth. And look at all these humans, they're in service of the wheat. They're feeding the wheat stalks and cultivating them and spreading them around the world and nurturing them. So, you know, it's the way you look at it. It's not going to be a takeover. It's going to be a symbiosis. But let's ask a simpler question than, is AI going to take over the world? Will I lose my job to AI? Well, close on a year ago, it was the 2022 intake of students, and this is the right establishment to talk about that. Universities looked at the SAT scores, and at that time GPT-3 was around, and they found that out of the entire cohort of students that came in, when they gave the SAT to AI, it scored higher than the average students that came in. So what they do is they asked a group of the low-scoring students to retake, but this time you retake it open book style with AI as your assistant. And lo and behold, they scored higher than the high-scoring cohort. So the takeaway for me is I'm not going to lose my job to AI. I'm going to lose my job to a candidate that is wielding AI. So it's in all of our advantages to become familiar with the technology and learn to use it to our own advantage and to make it personal. Okay. So how will it change work? This is an analysis I gave quite a while ago, but it's actually based on what I actually observed going on. We can recall how the typing pool in corporations has disappeared. There's no typing pool anymore. Word processors took that over. How the mailroom. There's very few corporations with a physical mailroom. Email took that over. The switchboard. Some of you had jobs. Did you? If you did have a job, do you remember that picture of moving the plugs over? Voice over IP took that business. Some institutions have reprographics departments. I know this one. Gosh, most corporations don't. Digital video eliminated that. In fact, digital video is the leap forward in technology. It was a mini leap forward that came to Hollywood and disrupted this whole industry. It's in fact the technology that powered my move from London to Los Angeles. So, okay, do we lament their loss? Do we lament the loss of the film processing staff, the technicians that were wading through vats of chemicals to process all the movies, the celluloid? They probably got jobs in the digital video space, we hope. This is the natural progression of technology. The disruption of jobs was one byproduct of what happened in Hollywood. But what actually happened was, if you view it as a democratization of that industry, it meant that movie making, in fact, storytelling itself, became available to everyone. Now everyone has a laptop with a video editing system on there. They don't need to be snipping celluloid together and taping it together in order to make a movie. We've had a movie on your computer. Okay. So what is it about work? If work is going to change so fast, work is our identity. Most of us invest most of our lives in a career, and it becomes the thing that defines us. It used to be, in fact, if you go to the UK, you will find many of the surnames that originate from the UK are occupation-based surnames. But it's not only in the UK. It's in most it's in most cultures where there's taxation on your work. You had to have a surname so that the tax collector can come and track you down, and your surname was probably related to your mode of employment. Smith, you worked metal. Cooper, you made barrels. Fletcher, you made arrows. So Herrero is the equivalent of Smith. Barbero, probably a job that's not going to be disrupted by AI, a barber. We do. Cabrero, another one that's going to be immune to AI. Ray, what's Cabrero? Yeah, a goat herder. Yeah, he's going to be up high on a hill, and he's not going to be. He'll be lonely, but he won't be affected by AI. Banerjee, remind me what Banerjee means. Teacher? No. Gosh, okay. I'm looking around for someone that can translate for me. I think Banerjee's a teacher. Gandhi is a perfume seller. Okay, and my own surname, Rassool, means messenger. No, that was a real job. You'd take messages, maybe written on a scroll from one town to another, from one place to another. It used to be a real job. That one went with telecommunications, okay, and the takeaway for me is to don't try and outcompete the machine. How do we adapt? So, what is in a name? I said my name's Rassool. What's in a name? What's in the name of Kwaai? Kwaai comes from South African slang. I was born in Cape Town. That previous picture you saw was a site that I'm very fond of. Grew up in a very ugly time in that country's history. Grew up in London after that, but there's no way that you can't have been born in in Cape Town in South Africa without being indelibly marked by that sort of cauldron where we were all forged in. So in South African street slang, Kwaai means cool. According to Urban Dictionary, according to Wiktionary, it says no. It's a double-edged sword. It means cool, but it also means angry or bad-tempered, and it's that dichotomy. In sort of hip hop culture, there are words like sick, which hold on, does something get ill? No, it's really ill. No, ill. Ill is also they're words that have good and bad connotations. So when naming this organization, I thought Kwaai is good. Yeah, we're angry. We're a bit bad-tempered about this, but it's cool. It's cool to be bad-tempered. So what is the Kwaai mission? To democratize AI. Is democratize a bad word? We're debating that. It's got a bit of a bad rap recently. I mean, we could say to personalize AI. That makes it more consumer friendly and less confrontational to corporations. So we'll chew on that for a while. But what are we going to be doing? Are we just going to be wringing our hands and complaining and writing blog posts about how bad AI is? No, let's do something. So we're going to develop tools. We're going to develop open source tools for you to train your own dragon. No, to train and maintain your own personal AI. AI that you can own and maintain. It's trained on my data, so I must own it. It'd be dreadful if my employer owns it instead. Imagine what that would look like. So as executive assistance for all, we'll talk about that in the following sessions. We'll talk about the progress we made on that. AI fundamentals is an extremely technical track. And for the purpose of this audience, we're going to take you along a path from the beginning of AI, explain, give you an AI 101, but also point you to the direction where AI is going, where it isn't now, but where it needs to go. And then the policy track is really important because we feel that policy and technology need to go step by step, hand in glove, and need to go along in sync. So we'll make policy recommendations on the language that should go into employment agreements that anticipate AI, that anticipate personal AI ownership. We'll also talk about the licensing terms, about training data, super important. And most of us that consume food, we could buy food in the supermarket, it has nutrition facts on it. We believe AI models should also have nutrition facts. They're determined that actually specify the scope of work, the scope of its training data, its performance accuracy, maybe even the level of bias that's in the model. Okay, so Kwaai is a volunteer organization. Very different to, let's say, a .com startup or an AI startup. It has a different makeup. The people that attend, the people that volunteer their time, they do that because they feel a commitment to a cause. They feel an angst and they want to be part of a solution. They've got day jobs. We've all got day jobs. We're all busy. But it's important to volunteer. So who are you if you are volunteering? You're an AI thinker. Maybe you just got this angst and you want to have that angst directed in some productive way. You could be a data scientist or a developer. We'd love you on board. But maybe you're just an administrator, someone that can help us with the back office. I think that's extremely useful. Maybe you're a marketer that can help us spread the word. And we need some more rabble rousing. We've got one or two rabble rousers in the team, but you could always use more. You're typically high energy. You're curious. You're concerned. You're frustrated maybe in your existing situation, maybe siloed in your organization, and you want to be part of an international movement that's going to make a difference. That when we look back at it a few years from now, we're going to see, wow, that made a cultural impact. So how would you contribute? Well, the outputs of Kwaai are going to be real. They're going to be, it's going to be open source developments. It's going to be policy recommendations, and it's going to be technical papers, academic papers. So in an institution like this, I think it's very important, maybe even to harness the energies of the student body and get them involved, get them accustomed to giving back even early in their career. So if you're a volunteer, we're looking for people who are capable of devoting at least 8 hours a month. Well, that's not a lot. That's attending a 1 hour weekly call. That's maybe attending a quarterly summit. If you can give us more time than that, that's fantastic. The more the merrier. Okay, so the Kwaai movement, if you go to look at kwaai.ai, the website, you'll see the history of all of our weekly meetings and the vibrant conversation that goes on here. You might recognize some of the faces here in the Kwaai body. It's a technical think tank, a policy think tank. We have public meetings. We've got an advisory board, and then working groups along those separate tracks that we talked about. We talked about the 3 outputs: tools, fundamentals, and policy. I won't go into them in detail because in the subsequent presentations, you'll get progress reports on all of this. So join the movement. Go to kwaai.ai and sign up. Thanks very much.
Chat.